Hey lovely souls, welcome to Carolyn, where I teach you practical magic. Today we have a message from Hecate. So today I have 3 different piles for you to choose from, and each of these piles is going to have a message from the goddess Hecate to you. So the reason I was inspired to pass along in the message from the goddess Hecate to you today is because I had a dream with her last night. And from that dream, I took key elements that I remembered and I made a tarot spread, and I wanted to use that tarot spread as a way to pass along a message to you. So just like she was in my dream and passed a message off to me, I want to then pass another message from her off to the collective. And so with the tarot spread that I created, there's a position for Hecate, and that's the card that I chose to help you determine which pile is calling to you. So look at these cards. We have travel, cycle, and vision. So take a moment to clear your mind, connect with your intuition, connect to Hecate, and pick which pile you're being drawn to. I'm gonna have the timestamps for each of the piles in the description box down below. I want to welcome you if you're new to the channel. My name is Carolyn, and I do tarot readings to help you connect more with your intuition and understand what messages the universe has for you. If you want to purchase a personalized reading, I do sell them. You can check out my Etsy shop, or you can message me on my other social media platforms. Everything's going to be in the description box down below. And I also sell dream interpretation, so if you had a dream that you feel like has a deeper meaning, definitely contact me and I'll help you get to the bottom of it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share with others who need to hear Hecate's message for them. And if you want to see more videos of mine, hit subscribe and don't forget to turn that bell notification so that you see when I post my next video. I post new videos every week and shorts daily. And so with all that being said, I'm going to start the readings. Hey lovely souls who chose the travel card, also known as pile 1. For your cards, you have travel, failure, transformation, labor, bond, and earth. So the first thing I want to talk about is transformation, travel, growth, self-discovery. So Hecate's message to you is that she's around you, guiding you on transportation. She represents the crossroads. And so she, in a lot of ways, represents transformation, and transformation of things that intimidate us and are scary to us. It's about walking into the unknown and having her guide you along that journey. And with the transformation card, it feels like you are afraid of transformation. You are afraid of change. You are afraid of trusting yourself enough to grow and evolve from your previous things. And I think a big reason for this is with the failure card is that you avoid failure. You run from it. And I think you're so afraid of failure that you don't give your chance to self to transform or to grow, because you want to do everything perfectly the first time or not at all. And so you will go out of your way to avoid failure to a fault, because you don't want to look like a fool, but then you're not learning anything. You're not gaining any new knowledge. And something I want to point out about all these cards, I'm not entirely sure because there's not a guidebook, but I'm going off of what I visually see. You have Hecate's energy as this full-formed butterfly. You have the transformation with the caterpillar turning into the butterfly, and you have the failure card with this butterfly that looks like it's broken, looks like it's dying. And I feel like the reason you were drawn to this message is because it's Hecate's way of telling you it's time to fly. You're ready for it. Don't be afraid of failure, because you're going to be able to pick yourself back up. But it's like it's time for you to trust that you're protected enough that you're not going to fail in such a horrendous way that you can't get back up. Like, believe that you're going to transform, not that you're going to fail. I feel like that's a mindset shift you have to have, is that failure doesn't mean that's the end. That's the end of the chapter that I failed. It means that's how you transform. You transform from your failures. So you're looking at failure like it's the ending, like it's the worst thing that could happen. It's a stepping stone. I think with the Earth card, it's also difficult for you to be still or real with yourself, because you're afraid that if you're not doing everything, then you're doing something wrong. It's like if you're not constantly busy, if you're not distracted, then you're wasting time. Then you're taking up space unnecessarily, that you're doing things wrong because you're not constantly hustling. And that's where the travel card has double meanings, because yes, it means traveling and like going places, growing, but it also means taking a vacation, resting, not having to be busy all the time. It means allowing the natural flow of things to occur. And sometimes you're going to have the energy to do everything, and sometimes you're going to have no energy and you can't do anything. And listening to your body and mind's cues is not a bad thing. You're not a failure because you're sick. You're not a failure because you're tired. You're not a failure because you need a break. You're a failure if you give up completely. Taking time to heal, taking time to take care of yourself does not make you a failure. And so if you're in a period of your life where you need rest in order to go into this cocoon, in order to emerge as a butterfly, in order to confront your inner fears and your demons and your blocks, internal work's not a bad thing. So don't feel like because you're not doing things externally that others can't see, that you're not doing anything productive for yourself. Another message from Hecate with labor and bond is that you're more spiritual than you believed or that you've known about. Some of you have recently gone through a spiritual awakening and you're learning more about your own abilities. And a lot of you are connected to Hecate and you're connected to magic within yourself and with the universe, and you have like spiritual connections and abilities that aren't fully tapped into. And so this is Hecate's way of saying she's with you on this journey as you learn more about your abilities and you begin to develop them. If you've been wanting to research and learn more about abilities that you think you might have, look into them, because it feels like you're more spiritually inclined than you believed. I think a lot of you could be blocked with it. Some of you might have had experiences as a child that made you block off your spiritual abilities for your own protection at the time because you weren't ready for them. And now you're reaching this new cycle of your life where you are ready for them. And so Hecate is here to kind of help guide you so that it's not as frightening for you. Another thing that Hecate wants to share with this message when it comes to transformation and growth is that you need to fail sometimes in order to learn. And because you have an aversion to failure, you don't allow yourself to learn from your failures. When you do fail, you run from them and you're like, I'm not making that same mistake again. And you completely pivot to the opposite of it. Instead of learning what went wrong and trying again, you give up on that idea because you don't consider that a stepping stone. You see that as the end of the book. And it doesn't have to be that way. But in order to face your fears of failure, you need to constantly be working hard, not in a way where you're distracting yourself, but in a way where you keep going at it over and over and over again, where you're learning, you're making slow changes, you're adapting based on the failure, but you're not completely throwing in the towel and pivoting. You are slowly making changes and seeing what works and putting in that work and that dedication in order to learn from it. And you're growing that bond with it so that you are understanding the strengths and the weaknesses of it. That's what Hecate wants you to know. When you are constantly changing directions because of small failures, you are not strengthening any bonds. You are floundering, not knowing what you're doing. Because you're not sticking with anything long-term enough to see what works, what doesn't. You're seeing what temporarily doesn't work. And the two are not necessarily the same. Sometimes failures are just a result of poor timing. And it's not that it's a bad idea or a bad product. It's not that you did something wrong. It's that the timing was wrong. And you're not going to know that if you don't ever try it again. Because 5 days later, 5 months later, 5 years later, whatever it is, the times might have changed. And all of a sudden, that's the most brilliant thing anyone's ever heard of. You're not going to know if it's just something that other people aren't ready for yet, or if there are things that really need to be addressed and fixed when you give up on it and pivot to something else. And so Hecate is coming through to say, don't give up on yourself or your ideas or your innovations just because of failure. Learn from them and grow. And as you do so, if you decide you don't want to hold on to the same things, that's okay, those can change. But don't change for the sake of change without understanding the why. Going to this earth energy, we see this ecosystem with the mountains, the sky, the land, and then we see a bone underneath it. There's a natural cycle and evolution to life. And so if you're trying to speed run it or avoid certain parts of it, you are always going to be in this constant state of chase, of never getting anything, because you are not allowing yourself to have the good and the bad. Because you don't want the bad, you also don't get the good, because you're not going to be able to hold on to anything because you're never in a point where you can attain it. And so by trying to avoid failures in life, you are actually creating a failure of your life because you are not learning, you're not growing, you're becoming stagnant. And with that stagnancy, it's not where you want to be, so you are failing. And that's why Hecate wanted to come through with this message to tell you it's okay to fail, but fail in a way that's beneficial to you. Don't keep being a failure and creating this self-fulfilling prophecy where you're upset with your situation, but then not willing to take a risk to change it. Sometimes you have to take a risk to get where you want to be. Sometimes you have to believe in yourself that that risk is going to be worth it because you can fly. You have to trust in your own abilities and the work that you put into things that you're going to be successful, even if everything else is telling you no. Because if you never take that risk, then you're never gonna know, but then you're also never gonna get what you want. You're not gonna grow. And so this is Hecate's way of waking you up to the reality of the situation and snapping you out of this false pretense you're living your life in, thinking that you can avoid failure and be okay and get what you want, because the two don't go hand in hand. You have to go through the cycle of life. You have to go through the process, and sometimes the process, it's not going to be fun, but at the end of the day, you're going to recover, you're going to heal, you're going to strengthen the bonds within yourself and the bonds with your goals. It feels like if you start facing this fear of failure, you're going to find more purpose in your life, because going to this labor card, it's representing bees. And the thing is, bees work as a collective, they work as a group, they have a purpose. They know what they're doing and they have a why, and that's what you're missing. It's like you know what you're avoiding and you know what you want, but you're not seeing how the two of them are making the other one impossible. It's like something's got to give, but you've not been allowing it to give. And so it's like, with this transformation, you have a choice. You can continue to like do things as you are and have this failure energy, or you can tap into this energy that Hecate is trying to tell you exists and be this butterfly and soar. And so that's kind of the crossroads you're at right now. And so the choice is going to be up to you, but you do have a choice to make. And so I hope this reading provided the insight that you need to make the choice that's best for you. I'm sending so much love your way. Let me know in the comments down below how this reading resonated for you. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share with others. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you part of this family. And don't forget to turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. If you want to purchase your own personalized reading, the link to my Etsy shop is going to be in the description box down below. I can't wait to see you all in my next video, and I hope you have a very happy, cozy season. Until then, bye. Hey lovely souls who chose the Cycle card, also known as pile 2. For your cards, you have Cycle, Fear, Luna, Home, and Sleep. So the first thing I want to say to you is that it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to be hurt, be sad, be disappointed by people and by your past, and by the things that you didn't have control over, but that happened to you. It feels like you are a very strong person. It feels like you've been through a lot. And it feels like with that, you put a lot on yourself, you put a lot on your plate and on your shoulders, and you just push through. You keep persevering. And Hecate is giving you this message today to tell you that sometimes being strong is not about being the strongest, mentally, physically, emotionally. Sometimes being strong is having a safe place to release and to let go and to process and to heal. And it feels like that is not a luxury that you've been given, and you haven't carved time out to do that for yourself. And Hecate is coming in and saying, hey, you can't keep going this way anymore. It's becoming too much, it's overwhelming you, and it's weighing you down. And it feels like maybe it was okay for a short time, but now that short time has become permanent, and now it's creating issues where you are avoiding these emotions and you're avoiding being real and honest with yourself. And it feels like some of you have new people in your life who are genuine, who have tried to help you out, and you are blocked off from their help. It feels like you've created this block of fear, of dependency, and weakness, I guess is the best term that you would define it as. And so other people are looking at you and saying like, hey, like, are you good? Like, I got you. And because of this mentality you have, you're not accepting any help. You're saying, no, it's fine, I got it, I'm fine, I'm good. And you're not. But I feel like you haven't even begun to look in the mirror to realize that you're not good. I know this is gonna sound cheesy, but it feels like you literally like need a genuine hug from someone in your life. And it feels like having someone just genuinely hug you would make you start crying, and I don't even think you would fully understand why you're crying, because it feels like there's so much that's bottled up internally, and again, you're not processing it. You're just avoiding it is really what it feels like. I feel like a lot of you try and mask your emotions, and you try and convince yourself and convince others that everything's good and it's okay. And I think if you start to feel uncomfortable or you start to feel something that doesn't make you feel good, you just remove yourself and you blame it on something else. So for instance, if something was making you sad, you would just be like, no, I'm not sad, I'm just uncomfortable because I'm tired, so I'm just gonna go home and get out of it. So it's like you're avoiding these situations that stir up your emotions, and you're also denying what the true emotion is that you're feeling. And it feels like you do this because you're afraid of your emotions. I think for so long you had to be tough, you had to be brave, you had to be strong. You didn't have time to process your emotions, so you taught yourself how to turn them on and off. And because you turn them off, you just never turn them back on, you never process them, and now I think you're overwhelmed by the idea of turning them back on. And that's why Hecate is coming in to say, hey, that cycle was good for a period of time. It was what you needed to survive. Now you don't. Now it's time to heal. Now you're in this new cycle of your life where you need to process things in order to go into the next area of your life, because it feels like there's genuine connections that you want to make with people and you want to be more vulnerable, but you're not vulnerable with yourself, and so you haven't learned how to be vulnerable with other people. Because the best way to learn things is to learn it for yourself, and then you can apply it to others, and even then it's not always easy. Sometimes it's way harder to be vulnerable with other people, but it's like you don't even have that stepping stone. So without that stepping stone, it's like you really don't know what you're doing. And then when you don't build those genuine connections or something goes wrong, you feel frustrated, and that makes it even harder to open up, because then your walls go up because you want to protect yourself. It feels like a lot of you did not have a very loving home growing up. It feels like you were in this very toxic environment, and that's how you learn to put this exterior shell on yourself. And inside, you're not as strong as you make others believe you are. It feels like you have a big heart, you're very open and like vulnerable. It's just hard for you to like show that, and it's hard for you to tap into that, because you try and avoid your weaknesses. And so in order to step into this healthier cycle for you, it requires you to be surrounded by people who understand that and hold compassion and empathy for you. And it feels like you've done a pretty good job of finding people who would do that. But now the next part that's scary is, how are you going to do it? And that's where it's like Hecate's presence is around you. She's guiding you through this journey, but it's still a scary and overwhelming journey. It feels like it's a lot easier for you to be like, it's too difficult, I'm going to give up, I'm going to take a rest, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to come back to this another time. And so it's like you keep prolonging all this work that you have to do. And Hecate's message for you is that hibernation's over. If you want to address this, you need to address it now. Now's the time to do it. And it might be scary. It might not be fun. It's definitely not going to be fun, but it's necessary. And so it's like, stop putting it off. You've been putting it off. Some of you, it's like you've been putting it off for months. And it's like, you know you need to address this. Putting it off isn't going to make you address it anymore. If that was true, you would have addressed this already. You keep putting it off because you don't want to face it. So the best way to do that is to just rip the band-aid off. And so I feel like this message from Hecate is more to give you guidance and reassurance that now is the time to do it. Don't keep running from it. It feels like this is all stuff that you know, but she's just reaffirming it for you so that you take the steps necessary to do it. They can be small steps. You don't have to rush into this. But you do need to start processing things, healing things, being more vulnerable with people. And the best way to do that is to research. And this could be done in so many different ways. You could read, you could get workbooks or guidebooks. You could go on YouTube or other social media platforms and just listen to other people. Google it if you want to. Like, there's so many different avenues of research that you could find for yourself. Find the one that resonates for you and that leads you towards a path of taking these steps forward. Some of you, this research could be actually asking people in your life who have gone through similar situations as you. For you, honestly, your biggest block is fear itself. And while that's overwhelming, it's very simple to overcome. You just have to do it. You have to rip that band-aid off. And it's very intimidating. But the thing about you is that you're such a strong person. You have that strength within yourself. It's just a matter of teaching yourself that it's okay to be vulnerable in order to be strong. It feels like for so long you had to hide your fears. You had to deny them because other people would use it to their advantage. And so now it's about teaching yourself that you're in a different place, you're in a safe place, and no harm's going to come to you because you're being vulnerable, because you're being open. And that's very scary to do, but I believe in you. Hecate believes in you. That's why you've gotten this message today. And so now it's time to believe in yourself and to trust yourself. So I'm sending you so much love and support at this time. I hope this message gave you the guidance that you needed. If it resonated, let me know in the comments down below. Also, give this video a thumbs up and share with others who need to hear Hecate's message. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you a part of this family, and turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. If you want to purchase your own personal reading, I do sell them, and the link to my Etsy shop is going to be in the description box down below. I can't wait to see you all in my next video, and I hope you have a very happy, cozy season into then. Bye. Hey, lovely souls who chose the Vision card, also known as Pile 3. For your cards, you have Vision, Fire, Wealth and Illuminate, Sleep, Balance, Fear, and Home. So right away, it feels like you have very strong psychic abilities, but they might not be developed yet, or you're in the process of developing them. And that's why Hecate is coming in to give you this message. One, I think that she's a deity that you should work closely with, but I also feel like she's just here to help guide you as you develop these spiritual abilities and tell you that you don't have anything to be afraid of or anything to fear. It feels like a lot of you doubt your psychic abilities because you aren't fully able to make sense of them. And the metaphor that I'm getting for you is that your psychic abilities, I feel like a lot of you have clairvoyance and claircognizance. So claircognizance is just clear knowing, where like you just know something as if it's a fact. And clairvoyance is visions. It could also be messages that come to you in your dreams. And so with that being said, these type of psychic abilities can appear kind of as like snapshots or brief bits of information that you have to piece together like a puzzle. So you could have all the pieces you need for a message, but until you start to put the puzzle together, you're not going to be able to make sense of it. You're going to have a lot of information, but you're not going to know what the puzzle looks like. And so that's how your psychic abilities are. You're receiving the right information. Now it's just about tying them together and interpreting them correctly. And so a lot of you, it feels like your messages are currently scrambled and you're lacking confidence because you feel like you're not good at what you're doing. But Hecate is here to tell you you're good at what you're doing. You just need a little bit more patience to make sense of it all. And so don't beat yourself up. That's something you'll be able to develop with time. It also feels like you have blocks when it comes to having a lot of attention on you or being recognized for different things in your life or being seen as a leader because you're lacking that confidence. A lot of you feel like an imposter or a fraud, and so you don't want attention on you because you're like, I'm not that good, like I'm not that great. There's other people that you could look up to. And Hecate is here to tell you, like, maybe you don't feel like you're deserving of praise or recognition, but you are good at what you do. You just might not realize it because you're lacking confidence, but other people are going to realize it. Other people are going to see it. And so they are going to look to you as a leader. And so Hecate is coming through now to give you the message to prepare for this, to get ready, to start to develop your abilities and discover your purpose and figure out what makes you happy in your life, so that when the time is right, when that attention's on you, you're not overwhelmed. This is your time to start preparing for it. And with that being said, if there's things in your life that you're not happy with, that you don't want other people to know about, now's the time to correct that. Now's the time to fix it, rectify it. Because nothing stays hidden forever. Nothing stays completely private. And it's going to be illuminated one day. So if it's something that you don't want people to know about, fix it. Address it, correct it. Don't just wait and keep the skeleton in your closet for people to find out about one day. It feels like now's really the time to analyze your life and figure out who you want in it, who you don't want in it, what things you want in it, what things you don't, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, and figure it out so that you're living in alignment with yourself. It's a time to balance your life internally and externally, as above, so below, mind, body, and soul. You want everything to be in harmony with one another. Because also, as you create a happier, more peaceful, energetically balanced life for yourself, you're then going to be able to teach others how to do the same for themselves. So you're never going to be 100% perfect. Hecate is not asking you to strive for perfection, but she is asking you to strive for what internally lights you up, what makes you happy, what are you passionate about, what are you excited about, and lean into those things instead of leaning into the things that create fear or imbalance or unhappiness, because it's easier to do things that might not be bringing us joy, but are easy and convenient. But that's not how you deserve to live. And especially because you're lacking confidence, sometimes it's easier for you to push away what makes you happy because you're not feeling confident with it, and just do the things in life that are easy for you so that you feel more confident about them, but they're not as rewarding. Hecate wants you to focus on what's truly rewarding for your soul. Another thing with the sleep card is that you need to be protecting yourself, and this is in all different ways. One of the main ways though is energetically. Because you are so spiritually connected to people, it's very easy for your energy to get drained and for you to be surrounded by energy vampires. So you need to protect yourself before you're completely depleted, because otherwise when you get depleted, it takes you a long time to recover. Some of you could actually be getting sick. And so if you take time to rest and recover before reaching that low point, it's going to be a lot easier for you. You're going to need less time to recover. And you also need to evaluate the energy vampires in your life and cut contact with them. Some of you, this is permanent, like cutting them out of your life. Some of you, this could be limiting your exposure with them so that they can't completely deplete you, but they're still in your life, because some of these people might be important to you, and you have to figure out what's actually going to allow you to keep the peace for yourself. Now, with that being said, this might sound a little counterintuitive, but sometimes in order to keep your peace, you need to get someone out of your life, and sometimes the best way for them to leave your life is if they don't want to be a part of yours anymore. Because sometimes with energy vampires, they take and take and take, and they don't really care about your boundaries. They don't care to respect you. So sometimes the best way to get an energy vampire to leave your life is to make them not want to hang out with you. So you might have to put a little bit of a mask on with this person. You might have to be a little bit fake with them and be more rude or more inconsiderate than you typically would be. You might have to be a bad friend or be seen as the bad guy in their eyes, and it might not come naturally to you, but sometimes that is the only way you're going to get peace, because if they feel like it's their decision, it's going to be a lot easier for them to stick to that, versus if it's your decision and they don't respect you, they might not actually stick with it. So it's just something to keep in mind. Listen to your intuition if that's something that you have to do or not. Something else that Hecate wants you to know is when it comes to this energy of being a leader, sometimes the best way to do that is to learn how to confront people in a healthy way. So there might be energy vampires in your life who are taking advantage of not just you, but other people, and you might have to make it your mission to stand up to them, to protect the other people who aren't going to stand up for themselves, and to set that example that that behavior is not okay. And so don't be afraid to push yourself out of your comfort zone during this period of growth for you to learn how to become more authoritative and gain those skills, so that when people are looking up to you, you're going to have some more knowledge of it than you currently do. Because it feels like right now you shy away from those experiences because you don't want it to be your problem. You don't want to have to deal with it. And it's just easier if you keep the peace and you keep your head down and everything just moves on as it should. But sometimes that's not the right thing to do. Sometimes that's not what's actually best for you. And sometimes that's not actually going to make you happy. So it's important that you listen to your intuition and act accordingly with that, instead of just doing what's easier. Because I feel like that's Hecate's message for you right now. It's like you have such a powerful energy and presence, but sometimes you don't utilize that power because you've never really had to before, or you feel uncomfortable when you do. And so because of that, you're not learning how to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. You're just making yourself do what's easiest. You're being comfortable with things that aren't serving you. And it's like, it's time to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. It's time to actually make the changes that is beneficial for your life and your future, instead of taking the easy way out. And some of you, if I'm being honest, when it comes to you doubting your spiritual abilities, it's not that you're wrong about your messages. It's that you don't want to accept what your messages have been telling you. That's where you've been feeling a disconnect, because your messages are being honest with you, but that's not who you want to be right now. And so because that's an overwhelming energy to be in, you're just denying your abilities, you're denying your gifts. And so this is Hecate's way of saying, I know it's not easy, but I'm here for you. I'm guiding you through this. And you can develop your abilities and step into your power and transform into this different version of yourself that you didn't expect yourself to turn into. But it's going to be a good thing. You just have to trust the process. Right now, there's a lack of trust in your life. And so Hecate is giving you this message to help you build this trust back. Because it feels like you need to trust Hecate, you need to trust yourself, you need to trust your spiritual abilities, and you need to trust the power that you have within yourself. And so that's the biggest disconnect for you right now, is this lack of confidence, this lack of belief, this lack of acceptance and accountability. And so if you start to address that, you can make the positive changes for that future, so that when you step into this leadership role, you're not going to be overwhelmed. So I'm sending you so much love as you're going through this. I hope it resonates for you. If it did, let me know in the comments down below. Also give this video a big thumbs up and share with others who need to hear it. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you a part of this family, and make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. If you want to purchase your own reading, I do sell them. My Etsy shop is going to be linked in the description box down below, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a very happy, cozy season. Until then, bye.